Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Knit State of Mind podcast. Today is Sunday, February 2nd. It's Super Bowl Sunday for people who enjoy that sort of thing. It's the start to a new month. It's Black History Month, but we all know we celebrate and honor Black history and Black contemporary life every day of the year. It matters. What else? We're here in Oakland. It's sunny but windy today, and we have some things to share with you. We can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, so if you hear a little noise from the wind, don't be alarmed.
Or things falling like last time.
Hopefully everything will be okay. I'm Heather.
And I'm Wanda. You can find us on YouTube as Knit State of Mind Podcast, Instagram as Knit State of Mind, and then I am Zest in Class, Zest the letter N class on Instagram, and wandawat on Ravelry.
And I'm heathertee, T-E-E on Ravelry, and heathertee3 on Instagram. So we're excited to share with you what we've been working on over the last little bit and talk about some upcoming things and musings that we've been having.
I think we've had some different approaches to what we've been working on this time around as well, so should be interesting.
Yeah. Well, should we get started with what I'm wearing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we actually we forgot shout outs.
Okay, let's do shout outs. Well, I feel like you've done a good job with that and keeping track. Hello everyone, thank you for those who have followed us, left comments, participated in our Ravelry groups, the Clear the Needles, and our episode pages. Heather, do you have a few particular folks?
Sure. I mean, there's been a ton of chatter in our Ravelry group for Clear the Needles 2020, so that's been really cool just to see what everyone's finishing. We've had another post with that hashtag on Instagram, so thank you, Shirley, for that. Some really cute little crocheted octopuses, octopi, I don't know, whatever. We also had Happy Little Yarn give us a really lovely shout out on her podcast. That was actually a while ago at the beginning of January, but we really appreciated that. And then someone had messaged you about purling.
Yes, so someone did reach out and helped me so that I don't feel alone in the world. So they said they enjoyed purling as well, and we just kind of had a little exchange about how it can be one of those things that we start to say and it just gets repeated. And so there truly are other people out in the knit community who do not abhor purling.
Right.
But actually, and I'll probably talk about this, I can talk about it now. I think I've been purling a lot on my Levenwick, and so I'm starting to cramp up some. So that might be, you know, one of the things or one of the issues, because I'm just purling with the sleeves. So. Love-hate relationship, I guess, with purling.
I mean, I actually don't mind purling at all. It's just as easy for me as knitting, but I do find the motion of it does cause me to cramp up a little bit more. But yeah, I'm not a purling hater. I'm happy to purl if it's required by the pattern, and it can when you're doing stockinette, like knit one way, purl back can be like rhythmic and kind of fun. But it is a different, at least if you knit continental, it's a different motion, which I think is maybe why some people don't like it.
Yeah, that's real.
So what are you doing about the cramping?
Not knitting as much. I started not knitting as much. It's been in my wrists, but also my shoulders and neck. So I got one of those weighted heat pads for my shoulders and my neck, and that's helping some. It's taking breaks. I started reading, and I actually brought it. I'm sure people are familiar with this book. Heather loaned it to me. The Knitting Comfortably. Is that showing up? Is that going to show up backwards? Anyway.
No, I think it'll be fine.
Okay. By Carson Dimmers. So I cracked that open, and I'm only a few pages in, but right away, one of the messages that resonated was he talks about a couple of the culprits that can create injury. And one of them was around productivity. And so that helped me kind of reset and pause and remind myself that, you know, I enjoy knitting. I don't need to rush or knit to meet a deadline or to be prepared for podcasting. It's not worth it to risk an injury. And so just reading that was a good way for me to reset and just be like, you know, it's okay. Let me make sure I'm aware about things like posture and just even the, you know, this is the Knit State of Mind podcast, right? So where I am mentally and what my intentions are around knitting. So that was good.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll keep reading. I'm sure I'll get more tips, even just about how to hold the needles and posture and all of that. And just, it's also reminding me, and I try to do this, but I'm doing it even more so, to be in my body while I'm knitting and noticing where I'm tensing up. Like if I'm scrunching my shoulders up, like, that defeats the whole purpose. So relax, chill out, enjoy knitting.
I know that for me too, especially if I'm like stressed out or something and I get like knitting a lot of stockinette really fast, that's like a much more of like the repetitive motion that just never changes.
Yes.
As opposed to if I'm doing like a more complicated project where I'm cabling or doing different things with my hands, I found that I've gotten like the repetitive strain more often if I'm just going like around and around and around and around and around.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that does correlate to where I am in my project essentially too. So yeah.
All right, well, I'm glad you're resting and not injuring yourself.
Not injuring.
For us.
Yes. Taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Being kind.
Definitely.
So, wait, let's talk about what you're wearing. Exactly.
Yes. So I am wearing, speaking of cables, I am wearing the Skipness by Storey. This is one of my Clear the Needles projects. So I did finish it this week. I don't know if you remember from my whip parade episode, but when we showed all of our whips on that episode, this was, all the pieces were knit and I just had to seam it up. I think I had one sleeve in and I had to do the others. So I don't like seaming. I actually had texted one and I was like, I don't know why it took me so long to do this. And I was like, wait, that's a lie. I do know why, because I dislike seaming. But it actually wasn't that bad. So let me stand up and show it to you. So it's kind of this little cropped cardigan. This is actually a free pattern, and I really enjoyed knitting it. It has cables, as you can see, all over, and I knit it out of Rowan felted tweed, which is one of my favorite yarns to knit with. It's kind of like a sport or DK weight, but it really I think you can block it out to a lot of different weights. And I think this pattern is not designed for felted tweed. It's designed for more of a smoother yarn, but I still think it looks good.
I think so.
So what did I want to talk about? Oh, I used US size 6 needles for this and 3 for the rib. And I used clover needles, which I feel like people never talk about, but I love clover needles.
I'm with you.
They are like old school. You can probably still get them at Michael's. They are just, the cords aren't that great. So for magic loop and stuff, I wouldn't use them. But for the actual feel of knitting on them, I just really enjoy them.
I've been finding myself returning to clovers. One of the things I realized with the cramping is that it might be time to return to bamboo needles. Because just the grip on the metal,
So I want to take it off and show you a few things. Oh, first of all, this is the amount of yarn that I had left. So I had 7 balls of yarn and I don't know if you can see, it's kind of glaring there, but just
see it.
A little, not too much yarn left. So luckily I made it. But I did seam it, and I wanted to talk about some of the seaming because I was really, really proud of the pattern recommends using backstitch to seam, which I normally don't do. I normally use mattress stitch, but I thought, well, let me try it because the pattern said to do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm really pleased with, this is the sleeve seam. So I think that came out really well, and the cables matched up nicely. So I did that with backstitch. And then I did the side seam with mattress stitch, which if you're seaming knit stitches, I prefer that because you can see it. Because backstitch you have to do with the garment inside out, so you can't really see until you get to the end how it looks on the right side.
Okay.
But with mattress stitch, you're doing it on the right side. So I'm really pleased with the side seam. It's this like double stitch of knit stitches down there. I feel like you can't even really tell where the seam is if you didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
So, and I actually pulled out one side because it didn't look as good as the other and fixed it. So I'm pleased with that. And then the shoulder seam, I'm pleased with like my technique for it. Let's see if I can show it. Where is it? It's right there. But because of how I did my selvage edge, there's like a little column of knit stitches here that I'm not thrilled with. But I didn't want to pull it all out, and so I just left it.
Okay, such is life.
The only thing I'm not happy with in the fit of this is that the sleeves are a tiny bit, or the top of the shoulder is a tiny bit too wide. So the sleeve is a little bit lower than it should be, like where the cap goes into the cardigan front. And I did block, so the pattern says to knit all the pieces, which I did. Block them to their measurements, which I did, and then seam it up. Okay. I think the issue is the same issue that I always have, which is that my shoulders are much narrower than my bust. Yeah. And so because of that, I should have done some alterations up here to make it narrower. But what I decided I'm gonna do, because I'm not thrilled with this little line of knit stitches where I seamed the sweater, is I'm just gonna take it in a little bit. So basically I'm gonna, you know, go like that so that the purl stitches are right up against the sleeve, and so
Are you going to sew it?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna basically seam this. I'm not gonna take it out. I'm just gonna pin it and seam it up so that those knit stitches disappear, and that'll also make the sleeve a tiny bit smaller, or the front a tiny bit smaller to make the sleeve fit better. So
you'll have to come back and show us an update when you do that.
Yeah. Cool. So I don't know when I'll do that, because it's still wearable. It's not like it looks bad or anything, but I just can tell this sleeve could be a little bit.
And did you go with you went with different buttons, didn't you, from the ones we chose together?
No, these are the ones we chose. So they're just like the very faintest, they're kind of shiny. Let's see, there you go. Yeah. The faintest hint of orange.
Okay.
And there's some like orange flecks in the yarn too, so.
Works perfectly.
Yeah, thanks for helping me choose the buttons. I think these were the perfect ones.
My pleasure.
So overall I'm very happy with it. I can't believe that it took me a year to sew the pieces together, because the pieces were done more than a year ago.
But thank goodness for the Clear the Needles 2020
Thank goodness for Clear the Needles, because now I have a new sweater.
There you go. Yeah. Nice. Cool.
So what have you been working on lately?
So I've been a monogamous knitter, and you all have seen this, I guess, a couple of times, the various phases of my Levenwick.
Ooh, you've made a lot of progress.
So this is the Levenwick cardigan by Gudrun, Johnston, and I'm using the suggested yarn, which is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, in the color Embers. And I knit these mostly on a size 7, like she suggested, but based on some tips on Ravelry, I did the collar in a size 4, and there are some places where she calls for anywhere between a size 5 and a size 6 needle based on what you're doing. So let's see if I can. It's curling up a lot, but let's see if I can manage to show you. So I also followed the directions in a backwards fashion. So she said to, so we can just close it. She said to knit the sleeves before some of the elements of the body, but I just went ahead and finished the body. So you'll see here, I finished this off. So this is bound off. You pick up the stitches after you've done doing all of the rows back and forth for your full length. So I picked up the number of stitches here to get that band there. And that's just a regular bind off. And then on this side, the same thing, you knit this button band separately. So I knit that separately. I have my buttonholes. It's the same pattern that's on the collar. And then you attach it. I think it was a 3 needle I use a 3 needle, a 3 needle bind off to seam this and attach this to the body of the sweater. So that's all done.
Well, that's going to be so pretty when it's crossed over and buttoned.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so close.
So
but
pretty.
yeah, because look at that.
Especially after it's blocked.
Yeah,
Nice
it needs to be blocked for sure. And then on the bottom, same thing. It's actually, so for the bottom, it's I-cord. And I like the neatness of the I-cord. I don't know if I can, but it's an I-cord bind off. And same thing. So I have one sleeve done. Woohoo! Woo! And that's also an I-cord bind off. And I can show you the progress on the other sleeve. So all of my decreases, I'm done with all of the decreases on this sleeve. So I just need to keep going round and round, purling. So that's where some of the cramping is coming up. Round and round purling and finish that off. And then I have to knit the pocket. I was telling Heather that I kind of wish, so the pocket will go somewhere here. I kind of wish that I had done the pocket as a swatch, as my swatch, because then it would be done and I just have to sew it on. But the pocket should take no time, like an hour. Knit up the pocket, block it, and then add my buttons and then wear it. So that's where I am with the Levenwick.
You know what you could do, although it might change your gauge, you could turn it inside out and knit the
you know
sleeve,
what?
right?
I saw some people posting about that on Ravelry, and they said it makes a slight difference.
Okay.
It does make a difference in the gauge, so I didn't try it, but I could. I mean, I don't think it'll be that.
Yeah.
It probably won't be that big of a deal, that much of an issue if I just knit it. And then I really just kind of knock this baby out, huh?
I mean, you're almost done, so I guess if it was me, I'd probably just keep purling, but that's
I'm close, so I'll just keep purling. But I'm excited
so
about
close.
this.
It's gonna look so great.
Yep. Oh, and I've tried it on, and the fit is good. It feels better than the fit from my Nilly so far. Remember I was talking about like the sleeves and it feels loose enough, and I know Shelter doesn't grow that much, but it'll grow a little bit, and I think it's going to be perfect. And the other thing, actually, I'll mention is the sleeve. It calls for a 3/4 length sleeve, but given Bay Area weather, I could see this as being like a little jacket kind of thing, so I decided to make it full length, and so it's more versatile that way.
Yeah, cool. You know, it's funny because this is sort of a 3/4 length sleeve. Yeah. But on the lady in the pattern, it's full length. But I knit it to the measurements that it says to knit it to. So I don't know if she is just much smaller than me or if they did some kind of modification to the pattern. But anyway.
I went about 5 or so inches longer than what the pattern calls for on that one.
I think it's definitely more usable because generally if you're wearing a sweater, you're cold. Yeah. So why do you want like this whole part of your arm to be cold?
Right, exactly. And I think I'm going to have a whole skein of that yarn left based on where I am with things. So, I mean, it'll become a part of the stash, or it'll be fun thinking of something to make with it.
You could do a hat or like part of a color work sweater or so many options.
Yep. Cool. So that's what I have.
Nice. So I've been knitting on a variety of other random things. So I've got my first project for Stash Down 2020, which is the, I can't remember the name of it, the piece of silver. So the finished garment looks like this, except mine will be kind of a red, brown, orange. So last time I showed it, which was 3 weeks ago, I had only done the turtleneck because the turtleneck was taking forever and getting me down. But I have since, basically that day I finished the turtleneck, so I was like, I gotta get done with this turtleneck. I feel that. So did all the increases for the yoke, and now I'm down at the bottom of the body, and I'm about to do I need to do the ribbing. It's really interesting because this is all the same. Oh shoot, I'm losing stitches now. Whatever, it's just stockinette. it's all the same skein of yarn, same dye lot, but it's kind of striping. I think that's because of the marling.
Yeah.
It's actually more prominent on camera than it is in real life, but I do notice it in real life, but I'm like, whatever, there's nothing I can do about it. So let me just grab these stitches before this gets any worse.
That won't be fun.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with it. After this, I just have to do the sleeves. So I'm hoping to have this done by the time we go to Stitches.
Perfect.
Because I bought this yarn at Stitches last year, I think. So I would love to go by the loop booth and just show them and take a picture and you know. Yeah.
So now that I see more of it knit up, the color.
Yeah.
It's very enticing.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it? It's definitely like a reddish brown orange.
I see the orange in it more.
Such a good color.
Yeah, I see it in it a lot more now. Cool.
Yeah, and it's just such a really like lovely fabric that it's making too. Like it's just light and yeah,
that's nice.
So I'm very happy.
Well, we might be the brownish, burnt orangish crew. You got to tell the others.
I know.
Send a memo.
I'll tell Jeannie and Rachel that. Well, I'm sure Jeannie's got something orange. She likes orange too. I don't know about Rachel's. Not really that into orange, but
burgundy, something in the family. No, I mean it's not that serious. But
this is our two friends that are going to Stitches with us. Yeah, but Rachel actually just finished a sweater, and I think it's more of like a bluish purple color, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, she might want to wear that. It's always nice gratification to wear something you recently finished at a festival.
Yeah.
If you're going, let us know. Leave us a comment, send us a message. We'd love to connect and see people in person if you plan on being there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
It'll be my first time, so I'm excited and overwhelmed at the same time. Because I hear it gets pretty crowded, especially on Saturday. Yeah.
And there's a lot. And I feel like you have to, at least for me, I have to go with a plan. But actually, we were texting about this earlier. It's really interesting because I kind of don't, there's not a lot that I actually want to buy. I think because I've been now 6 months and I haven't bought any yarn and I've been like happily knitting. So I made a plan that I want to buy some mohair because I want to make, there's 3 different patterns that are like mohair combined with a fingering that I'm debating about, but they all have similar yarn requirements. So I'm going to get it and then decide which one to make. But I'm torn because, so that's really all I'm planning to buy. And I'm also really trying to stash down and just, I don't want to exceed my storage space. Like I live in a fairly small apartment, so I can't just go crazy. But I'm always torn because I also really want to support makers, right? And especially like a lot of people who go to Stitches and other yarn events are indie makers. They're like one-woman shows or very small businesses. And I do want to support them, and that's the whole point of them going to that show is so that people will buy stuff from them. So I'm always torn, right?
Yeah, I think it's a balance, right? Because you've been on a yarn diet, which makes a lot of sense leading up to Stitches West. So maybe you can think of it as Stitches West is a place where you can get some things, but you know, within reason, right? So I think that it just requires some intentionality, and don't force it. There will be more festivals as well, or something might inspire you later on, and you can go to some of our local yarn stores or order online, though there's, you know, carbon footprint, balancing that as well. But there are ways to navigate it. Yeah.
And I've been thinking about also maybe I don't typically tend to buy things like stitch markers or things like that. I just, you know, because I use the little light bulb ones and I just don't need them. But maybe because I'm not really feeling like buying yarn, I can buy some of those other little things that I normally wouldn't get. Just to support people.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So. I feel that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll probably go in with a little budget, and I do have some things in mind that I might purchase. Some of them I can say on camera, some of them I can't right now. But well, we might update you, or I don't know. We'll see what we want to do around our Stitches West adventure. But yeah, I think it's a balance. Yeah. I was joking that I feel like I'm somewhat doing In a way, but it depends. It's up and down. Doing the opposite of some of, well, basically what Heather's doing and some of our knit and make-alongs, because she's trying to stash down. I'm not necessarily trying to stash up, but my stash seems to be growing. I don't want it to grow too much, to be honest. So when I get something, I basically do it with the intent of making something in the moment, because I know myself, I'll get overwhelmed. There's something about the instant gratification of the purchases, and so if I wait too long, I'm gonna be like, really, I'm not excited about the yarn and the project anymore. Actually, there might be a case in point in a moment. And then with Clear the Needles, it's kind of, I'm back and forth. So like, I'm clearing the needles and pacing myself, but then I'm also adding to my needles. So I guess I just, you know, we're navigating the make-alongs in our own ways. So.
Yeah, but that definitely happens to me, where I get like really excited, like, oh, I want to make this thing, and what yarn do I need for it, and then I buy it, but then I'm working on something else, and so I don't. Exactly what you're saying is then that's how the yarn ends up in my stash, and then like a year later I don't want to make the thing that I bought the yarn for. Yeah. So then
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. Well, do you want to show us the yarn that you got that you're swatching with?
We could transition to that. So just to remind you all, I actually have a printout of it, but this is the designer's version of the, this is just the logistics.
Yeah, it's just the logistics.
The Marapulli, the Marapullover by, you know how to say this.
Strickenoninat.
Strickenoninat. So if you all recall, I found this pattern and got super excited. And I'm telling you, staying up later than I was supposed to, constantly looking for yarn, thinking about one color, and then let me tell you what happened. I was trying to branch out with colors. I'm going to give you a moment to guess. You want to know what color I ended up getting? Mustard yellow. And I picked up the mohair from A Verb for Keeping Warm, which is one of our local yarn stores. And then I ordered this other yarn that I'm going to show you.
Such a pretty color.
Do I want to? I'll show these, and then I'll show the swatch. And so I'm still super excited about the yarn. I'm not 100% sure if I still want to make the sweater. Let's get to the point, Wanda. So what I ended up doing, Lisa, I think her name is Lisa Shoot. She made the Marapulli, and she used Isager.
I think it's Danish. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Don't shoot me. Don't kill me. Isager. Isager. She used their tweed, their fingering tweed, and their mohair. So I ended up getting their tweed. I ordered it from, I should have remembered the name of the store. It's a store in Washington. But
Tolt? Did you get it from Tolt?
I got it from Tolt. Yeah. Thank you.
They have a lot of good stuff
there. So I ordered it from Tolt. So it's this pretty mustard tweed. It has speckles of orange and blue and white and all of that. And then from Verb, I got the Biche Bouche.
I didn't know they had a mohair.
They're 70% is it mohair and 30% silk. Am I doing that in the right direction?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So their mustard, and their mustard is a lot more golden than, I don't think the other woman used mustard in hers. So her sweater color was kind of muted. But I think this mix,
I think that'll look nice together.
Yeah. So I've been going back and forth, but I think when I finish the Levenwick, I can really make up my mind. I'm still swatching and then figuring out the modifications. Like I might have to make a larger size because her version, I think it's a mohair held with
a DK. Right?
Yeah, and this is fingering with DK, but Lisa Shoot, I think that's her name, said that it worked out for her, but I think I would have to make a larger size. I don't remember what my gauge was, so maybe in a later episode we can get into that. But this is a swatch
it does look really pretty.
In garter. Yeah. I think that's gorgeous, and I think since I'm using fingering, it could be a nice transition to spring sweater, right? Yeah. So I think I need to make up my mind. I should probably go ahead and do the stockinette portion, like of the swatch.
Of the swatch, just to see.
To see. And then
and block it.
And block it. And block it. That's true, because I'm pretty sure this is going to grow, which could get me closer to gauge. And then these are on, speaking of clovers, that's
clover
why,
needles.
because something, especially with this yarn, because it's slicker, right? So I figure it would be a good time to go back to bamboo needles. So these are US 6, but then I'm contemplating, should I try a 7?
You could. It'll be more open, but I think if you block it and see how it blooms, that'll.
So then I'm like, should I do the rest of the swatch, the stockinette in 6s, and then do it in 7 as well, 7s, and then block it, and then decide. But this is such nice yarn.
Well, you can always rip it. I mean, rip it out if you have to.
But then getting this mohair situation back together.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm going on way too long about this. But so, am I going to make the Marapulli still? The Sorel sweater just came out, and I think this is pretty much the same gauge of that. But there's something about this pattern that intrigues me with the construction too. So I might just do it.
Yeah. Well, once you do the gauge swatch too, you'll know the gauge for all different stuff, and then it doesn't matter what sweater you knit.
Yeah.
You'll know at least what gauge you're going to be getting.
Especially if I do it on the 2 needle. If I do the 6 and the 7 stockinette, that'll help with a lot of things.
Yeah. That sorrel, that sweater is beautiful.
It's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So many things in it.
I know.
Well, let me show you the other couple things I've been working on. And then I actually have a question about an upcoming sweater that I want to knit. So I've continued working on my lace yarn scrap scarf. So my goal for Clear the Needles has been to get one bigger project and one smaller project done every month. So January, I got this sweater. Technically, I finished it today, but more or less finished it in January. And those cupcakes, which were small. Oh, yeah. So for February, I want to finish this scrap yarn cowl. And also a pair of socks that have been on the needles for a while. So I'm just doing cast on 100 stitches. I'm holding this lace weight yarn double, and I'm doing 30 rows of the color and 15 rows of the gray. That just had to do with how much yarn I had of each and how I thought it would work out. So just to tell you what colors these are now that you can see them a little bit more. The green, the red, and the dark blue are all JaeggerSpun Zephyr wool silk, and the colors are Aegean blue, red, and green. This light blue is Classic Elite Silky Alpaca lace. I have a sweater made out of this yarn in a different color, and it is a really nice yarn. I'll have to wear that sweater on the podcast one day. But anyway, and then this is the gray is Prism Lace, and the color I think is called Thunder. It's much finer than the other ones, but hopefully when I block it, it won't really matter. So yeah, I'm gonna do 2 of each of the colors. So I have to do one more repeat of the red and one more of the dark blue, and then I think it'll be long enough to wrap around twice.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
So you're knitting this in the round though?
Yeah. And then I'm gonna graft it at the end to make it a cowl.
Got it.
I mean, I guess I could also just close it off and put like tassels on it or something and make it a scarf, but I think I want it to be a cowl.
I think it'll make a nice cowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then the last thing that I've been working on is I started a pair of socks for Christmas next year because I like to start building them up. So my stepdad was commenting that he really liked the socks I had made him for Christmas 2 years ago. I don't think he watches this. I don't know. I know my mom does, but if you're watching, Thomas, Merry Christmas. This is your present. So I just started cast on. This is some Regia 4-ply yarn. It's like a marled color that I got at the used yarn store. And just cast on a 1x1 rib for the rib, and then doing a 3x1 rib for the leg. You can't barely see it because of the marling. And then I just did the heels on both socks, so I'm knitting them concurrently. Smart. So I don't lose steam and never finish
Yep.
one. So I did both of the heels this weekend, and then hopefully I can finish the foot in the next couple weeks. And
You're
then,
at a good place in them.
Yeah,
Once
to
you're
just
done with the heels.
crank
yeah.
around, and
Yeah.
I might knit those during the Super Bowl
I like
today.
that yarn a lot. It's really pretty.
It is.
That was a good find.
It was, and it was, I don't know, like $3. Actually, I probably have the tag in here to say how much it was. It was $5, but that's not bad because I'm sure it was more than that to begin with. And I feel like it's good for, I feel like in general, a lot of men don't like interesting colors on their socks.
Yeah.
Some do, but
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's perfect.
it's interesting to knit,
Yeah, exactly.
but he'll wear it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other ones I made him actually are, well, they were Christmas socks, but they have red and green, like a Fairly type pattern, and he does wear those and like them. So he actually would probably wear interesting color socks, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Mentioning the Christmas socks, so this a little update. This is where I think I am on Kingy's socks. That's my partner's son.
Yeah.
His birthday is in like 2 weeks or a little over 2 weeks. And I think I've officially decided that I'm not finishing those socks for his birthday. I think I'll drive myself nuts. But if I allow myself to think of it as his Christmas socks, then I'll get them done in a timely fashion, but in a way that feels like I can knit all the other things and pace myself with that. Because like you said, I really love the Malabrigo yarn, but it's just a navy sock. So I can work on it, but so long, and then I get a little bored.
Definitely. And because he's still a teenager, you might want to wait until November to finish it, just to make sure that his feet haven't grown.
I won't close off. I won't do the toes.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. Yeah. I just won't do the toes.
Yeah, but you can get it all. That's what I normally do, is save
That's
all
smart.
the kids' ones until the very end, just because.
Yep. Thanks for that tip. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the last thing that I've been working on is this cowl. And it's from this book, Loop de Loop by Teva Durham. And I don't have this. This is a library book. And I had seen on the Caddy Jacks podcast, this was, I don't know, like a year ago, that Jackie had knit several of these cowls. And all it is really is like a 1x1 ribbed. It's called the Fade Out Ribbed Stole. So it's meant to be able to stretch to wear over your shoulders. But so she had knit several of them, and of course everything she knits is beautiful and beautifully styled. Yep. So I was like, I have to knit that, but I didn't have the book. So I saw that our library had it. I put it on hold, and then the notification that it was available for me kept getting in my junk mail folder. So I kept like not picking up the book, and then they would send it back to the main library.
Yeah.
Anyway, so recently I was thinking about what to do with my leftover yarn from my Leelana, now I can't remember how to pronounce it anymore. Sorry, Alyssa. Leelana sweater. And I was like, oh, that cowl could work, because I had this, so I'm going to do this light green, this dark green, and then the bottom is going to be
nice.
The pink.
Yeah.
So it's basically just a 1x1 rib, but I did want to get the book to see the cast on numbers, and they also, it's provisional cast, or not provisional, tubular cast on. And they do explain, and she does explain in the book how to do it.
Very nice.
And I really don't like how tubular cast on looks.
Yeah.
I like how tubular cast off looks, but I feel like tubular cast on always ends up looking kind of like stretched out. So I went down a couple needle sizes to try to fix it, but it's still, but I'm like, whatever. It's
and is
a 1x1
that going
rib.
to be, that's the top side?
I guess it could be either, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how I feel.
Yep.
I could wear it like this, or I could wear it with the
depending.
up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
So anyway, it's just going around and around, but I definitely recommend accessing your local library. I was actually paging through all the knitting books they have at the Oakland Public Library, and they have a ton of knitting books. Like,
I've never thought to do that, but now I'm going to check that out as well. Yeah. Cool.
So that's what I've been working on. I have a couple of cross stitch things to show you. Sorry,
the sun is doing
something weird.
Weird things now.
Just a couple cross-stitch things to show you.
Ooh, I see it. I've seen a picture of it too.
I didn't want to leave you hanging with the toilet, so I did finish the toilet. This is the pattern I Still Love You by Leah Emery from the green issue of X Stitch magazine. So it's done. Just need to find a frame for it.
Nice.
Yay! I posted that on my
It'll
Instagram.
live in your bathroom.
It'll live in my bathroom. So then I had a ton of fabric left because this is only like half of the fabric. So I just started looking for other little stuff I could put on it. So then I did this welcome sign with a pineapple on it.
That's
so
cute.
And the so that's this pattern, which is by Bent Creek. And for some reason, this pattern, they call for you to put snaps on it. So those little black things are snaps. And at first I was like, that's weird. Why would you put snaps on it? And then I made it without, but it just looked empty without them. So I did put them on. They came with the pattern.
I like the colors in those too.
Yeah, I'm going to hang this on my front door. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
a nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice. Because pineapples actually in real life have a lot more green in them, but I like how that looks. And then I made Heart in Hand Wee Fruits. So that's, ooh, hello,
Bring
Mr.
it
Sun,
closer.
come on out. Oh, you can see.
There
you can't really
you
see
go.
the pear because it's yellow, but
You want to see if it's on my side?
yeah. There you go.
What kind?
Yeah. You can see that there's a pear there at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
There.
No, there, perfect.
There it goes. Good stuff. I love the idea of the pineapple one on the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like sew it into a little like banner type thing with a ribbon
That's
and hang
perfect.
on. Yeah.
That is perfect.
So that's what I've been working on.
Oh, that would go nicely on an office door too.
It would. You want me to make you a
I
pineapple?
do.
I have lots more thread left. Okay, I'll make you a pineapple.
So that's what I was thinking, but then I was also, reminding myself of how it feels when you're a crafter and people are like, "Can you make this for me?" So, but since you offered,
I will make you a pineapple. I have lots of the thread left, and I have some more fabric of this type, so I will make you a pineapple. But no promises for when it will be finished.
Yeah, I'm not in a rush. It's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what are your upcoming plans? You've got the Marapulli maybe, or maybe something else.
I think I might do it. She's actually also doing a cowl for her jacket, but I think the pullover was my first love. So I think I'm gonna stick with that. And I've been exploring some other things. I think I mentioned a while ago the night shift, and I've been itching actually to cast that on. I'm feeling kind of sad because I wanted it to be for this season, but I don't know. Well, you can wear wraps and
wear it all year round around
here.
here.
So yeah, that's what I'm considering right now. So I'll update you all because the Levenwick will be done. Oh, I did cast on a pair of socks.
Oh, you did?
But I didn't bring. I've only done the ribbing so far. So I'll probably show those next time. But I did cast on some socks. Another pair of socks.
Yeah.
With yarn that's a more interesting color to me. But there's a sweater you're thinking of. Well, what are your future plans?
So my future plans are I want to finish piece of silver so I can wear it to stitches, but then I'm thinking about what I want to cast on next. So I have really, over the past year or so, I feel like there's been a lot of patterns that have come out with baubles.
Yes.
And I really want to make one, but I'm conflicted about what to make. So like a couple days ago, or maybe last week or something, Andrea Mowry came out with Fade Neve or Fade Nev, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's a baubled sweater. So she had stone crop, which had baubles in different colors. It's a fade, but some people knit it in a solid color, and it's just stripes of baubles.
Yeah.
So originally I favorited that, and I was like, okay, this is one, because it's a fingering weight, and for pullover, for most of the year, I can't wear anything heavier than a fingering weight for pullover, because it just doesn't get cold enough here. But the problem is that it has the baubles in straight lines. So I think you have a picture of it, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like
Can you see that?
everything
There's a bit of a glare,
looks
but-
amazing on Andrea Mowry, but I feel like on me, I don't particularly love horizontal stripes anyway, and especially a stripe of anything that goes right across a bust line. For me, I just feel like it's dicey, right? Because depending on where those baubles land, it could just be, so it'd take like a lot of finagling to make sure. So then I was like, okay, I think what I need is all over baubles and more of like a scattered.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I actually have
Yeah.
this pattern from Lina issue 6, which is our Arbusto maybe, because it's Portuguese. So I don't know if you can see that, but it has the baubles all over it. But this is 20 stitches to the inch, so it's more of like a DK to worsted gauge.
Yeah.
And I have actually yarn I could use. I have some red yarn that would work for that, but I just don't think I would wear it that much. And
If it's DK worsted.
Right. So what I want is this sweater, but in a fingering weight.
Give us some
So
suggestions.
if anybody knows an all over bauble, like scattered bauble sweater in a fingering weight, please comment below or message me or comment in the group, because I have searched a little bit on Ravelry, but to be honest, I don't spend a ton of time on Ravelry because I prefer to use that time knitting. So I haven't, you know, I can search more, but if somebody already knows and they can just tell me, then that's easier.
There you go.
Yeah.
That works.
So that's what I'm thinking about trying to figure out. And then after we go to stitches, I want to start one of those sweaters that has the fingering and
With the bobbles.
with the mohair. Yeah.
Oh, one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Love Note is one of them.
Yeah.
Ranunculus. And then there's a third pattern that just came out.
Well, the sorrel is fingering mohair too.
It is.
Or
And
sorrel.
yeah. And then there's one more, I can't remember the name of it, but I'll tell you next time, but that has, they're all like a very similar shape and require a similar yardage, so I'm gonna choose between those.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have some good plans, exciting plans in store.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to see what we actually knit up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let us know what your plans are as well, and how you're doing with clearing the needles or stashing down or just knitting in general. Or you know, it doesn't have to be according to any sort of cal or anything, just as the spirit moves you, right?
Yeah, leave us a comment. Use the hashtag ClearTheNeedles2020 if you're clearing the needles, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.